The more Tsang Ningyu thought, the more jealous she got as she couldn't hold it in and just blurted out. Grandmaster Huang, although I'm only one sovereign's subordinates, but I really cannot take it any longer. Why do you have to return to the Blue Profound Sect? Haven't you got sovereign into enough misery? He had already gone to such a step for you, so can I beg you to leave him a little further and stop trying to harm him? You staying beside sovereign will only harm him. You totally don't like him, why must you keep appearing in front of him? Huang Yueli's face was filled with ridicule. Tsang Ningyu's little bit of thoughts was something that she was very clear of when she was in her past life. But there were so many ladies who had openly and secretly admired Mu Qingyi, whereas Tsang Ningyu merely had a heavenly physique which was a top-rated material for being a bond maid. Just based on this alone, frankly speaking, Huang Yueli totally couldn't care less about her. In her past life, she just casually found a reason to make Mu Qingyi marry her off. This lifetime, she and Li Moying's heart and mind were interconnected, and moreover they had already gotten engaged. So these butterflies who came close to them naturally weren't of any threat at all. Huang Yueli originally had intended to teach her a good lesson, but whoever knew, upon hearing Tsang Ningyu's words, she instinctively felt something was amiss. Huang Yueli couldn't help but frowned. Wait, what do you mean? Since when have I ever harmed him? And, it's not me who appeared in front of him, it's he himself who kept coming to look for me. Tsang Ningyu looked at her puzzled look as she felt even more indignant, feeling unjust for her sovereign. Momentarily, she was flushed with jealousy and had forgotten about Li Moying's warning at the front palace, casting it out of her mind totally. Grandmaster Huang, how could you even ask this kind of question? Haven't you ever thought about why was it that you'd already self-exploded, causing your soul and spirit to be scattered, but why were you still able to be reborn, moreover still retaining your past life's memories, living a good and proper life until now? Right before you, every single practitioner who had self-exploded had all completely disappeared. Huang Yueli went into a blank. That's right, this is indeed very strange, but could it be that you know something? Soul and spirit had been scattered but still having the chance to be reborn. This was indeed a miraculous thing which had never happened since ancient times. Ever since she had awoken in Bairuoli's body, she had thought about this multiple times but still wasn't able to find out any reason, so she could only conclude that it was because she owned the Sky Phoenix ring, the piece of super god relic. However, little Phoenix Wang Kai had also indeed mentioned that although it was a god relic, it could only develop its corresponding uses according to heaven and earth's law. To want to congeal one's soul and spirit which had already been scattered, it was a heaven-defying action, and the corresponding price must be paid, which was not something that a god relic could achieve by itself. Now hearing Tsang Ningyu's meaning, could it be that this matter was related to Li Moying? Huang Yueli frowned and pursued, Tsang Ningyu, what on earth do you mean? Speak clearly. What exactly happened after I self-exploded in my past life? What did Mu Qingying do? Why have I managed to awaken? Tsang Ningyu laughed coldly, you don't know. You've already been reborn for such a long time and even spending so much time with Sovereign, but yet you don't know anything. For you, Sovereign has done so much, but you only know how to feign ignorance. The more Huang Yueli listened, the more she felt something was wrong, and the ominous premonition in her mind became more distinct. I'm not feigning ignorance. But you, tell me directly if you have something on your mind. What's the purpose of speaking in circles like this? You can also listen on. Tsang Ningyu suddenly hesitated for a moment when the words were already by her mouth. Li Moying's harsh warning rang by the side of her ears, and upon recalling that severe expression, Tsang Ningyu couldn't help but give a cold shudder. Huang Yueli saw that she was going to withdraw what she was about to say as her gaze suddenly flashed and lifted up her chin slightly. She glanced sideways at her. What's the matter? Don't dare to say. I think you're merely starting a rumor. You, who said I'm starting a rumor? All right, I'll speak. Tsang Ningyu clenched her teeth and she completely pressed her luck. I'm telling you, 16 years ago after you self-exploded in the northern ice fields, originally your soul and spirit should have dispersed, but sovereign he just nicely, Tsang Ningyu. What rubbish are you sprouting? Shut your gap up. Just as Tsang Ningyu was prepared to tell the truth, a burst of exasperated voice was heard as it harshly stopped her. Huang Yueli went into a blank and saw Tsang Pijun and Tsang Piyu standing not too far away. Tsang Pijun strode over quickly as he spoke in a cold tone, Ningyu. Can you sprout nonsense about such a matter like this? This is merely a rumor in the country, how dare you even gossip in front of Grandmaster Huang? Saying that he turned towards Huang Yueli, Grandmaster Huang, my sincere apologies, please do not take Ningyu's nonsense to heart. Huang Yueli took a suspicious look at the few of them as her gaze turned even more profound. She had originally suspected this was Tsang Ningyu's plot, but upon seeing Tsang Pijun's anxious look, it actually made her believe that there was some shocking inside story, and furthermore everyone were trying their best to hide it from her. Huang Yueli gave a cold humph as she said, Sir Pijun, are you trying to trick me? Since this is unfounded ravings, why don't you allow Guardian Yu to finish her words? What on earth are you trying to hide from me? Tsang Pijun frowned slightly, but since he was also a peerless top exponent who had experienced huge waves before, he quickly resumed his composure and put on an expression which seemed as though nothing had happened. Grandmaster Huang, you're really thinking too much. Ningyu has been a little tired recently and she heard those crazy and unfounded rumors from some outsiders, hence she spoke blindly in front of you. We really have nothing to hide from you. Huang Yueli laughed instead of flying into a rage. Do you really treat me like an idiot? Tsang Ningyu had said this very clearly earlier, that right after I self-exploded during my past life, in order to save me, your sovereign had done something which you cannot afford to let me know. What matter is it exactly? Speak. Huang Yueli was feeling exceptionally anxious inside. If it was any other matters, there was no absolute need for her to find out the answer, but this matter was related to Li Moying. She was very afraid and very worried, feeling that this man would do something which was irrevocable. In her past life, Huang Yueli was also a long-established peerless top exponent, and having stayed beside Mu Qingying for such a long time, the minute she flew into a rage, the aura and prestige that shot out from her had an 80% similarity to Mu Qingying's. In the few guardians' view, all of them uncontrollably gave a bitter cold shudder. However, Tsang Pijun clenched his fists tightly as he said the same thing through the slits of his teeth, Grandmaster Huang, you've really thought too much. There really isn't anything special. Huang Yueli gave a cold laugh. Nothing special? Then let me ask you, I'm obviously the one who self-exploded in the northern ice fields, but why did Mu Qingying also die and even reincarnated along with me? How on earth did he die? This, Tsang Pijun was tongue-tied. Why? Unable to tell me. Then let me ask you again. One who had self-exploded would have their soul and spirit dispersed, never to enter the reincarnation wheel, but why is it that I am still able to be reborn? You can also listen on. Tsang Pijun was intimidated by her Mu Qingying-alike overbearing presence as the cold sweat on his forehead kept dripping. But he insisted in his saying, Grandmaster Huang, there really isn't anything special. That year after your self-explosion, sovereign, he was devastated and shut himself up in Levitation Floating Castle to cultivate, probably out of the devastation from your death, it led him to go into Qi deviation. As for how you had reincarnated and reborn, this is really a miracle which this subordinate is unable to comprehend as well, Huang Yueli sneered as she heard his words. Tsang Pijun was stared at so much by her that he felt guilty as his voice became softer and softer. Huang Yueli said, Sir Piju should have finished your story right. Then, will Guardian you please explain next? Tsang Ningyu's expression was pale as she withdrew into a corner, and when she heard Huang Yueli pointing out her name, she jumped up in fright. W.H. What? Grandmaster Huang, this subordinate, haven't you said so earlier? In order to save me, your sovereign paid a heavy price for it. What exactly is that price? Tsang Pijun's warning look and immediately shot towards Tsang Ningyu. Tsang Ningyu's heart was filled with jealousy and envy, but she didn't dare to tell the truth. Earlier when she met Huang Yueli at the corridor, she was even younger and outstanding than before. Although she had yet to fully grow up, but she could tell that she would be an exceptional beauty which was not outdone by her past life. More importantly, in this lifetime, Huang Yueli and Sovereign were each other's sunshine, and from the excitement in meeting him again, Tsang Ningyu had totally let her jealousy rush into her brain. Hence that was why she jumped out to provoke Huang Yueli. After all, Huang Yueli's cultivation was only at the 5th stage realm now, and her ability as compared to her past life was as different as sky and earth. Towards her, Tsang Ningyu wasn't that fearful of her as compared to in her past life. But before she could even finish her words, she was interrupted by Tsang Pijun, and like a deflated balloon, she momentarily lost the courage to speak out the truth. If she dared to say the things which she shouldn't in front of Tsang Pijun, the loyal Tsang Pijun would absolutely tatter on her immediately to the sovereign, and by then, she would die a horrible death with no burial grounds. Tsang Ningyu was at a loss for moments, but in the end she still chose to remain silent. Tsang Pijun replied, Grandmaster Huang Si, she doesn't dare to say anything, so it looks like she knows she herself is sprouting nonsense, not daring to admit to it. Huang Yueli could tell that they would never admit to it, so momentarily, she couldn't do anything to them. If it was in her past life, she would utilize her piercing sky eye technique to make them speak obediently. Alas, as her cultivation was weaker by quite a lot and the 4 guardians were all established top exponents with unwavering determination, they were absolutely not someone whom a 5th stage realm practitioner's eye technique could easily control. Huang Yueli gave a cold harumph and said, All right, since that's the case, I'll go ask your sovereign personally. I hope you don't give me a chance to find out that you're lying to me, otherwise. The 3 guardians' backs all felt a cold feeling running down their spines. This lie would eventually be exposed, and by then, they wouldn't be able to escape the blame. But yet, no one dared to say a word more. Anyway, no matter what the result was, as subordinates, they would always be the ones to get into trouble. Tsang Pijun bowed and said, Grandmaster Huang, you've thought too much. How would this subordinate dare to lie to you? Huang Yueli gave a chuckle, and without a word more, she turned around and left. When Tsang Pijun heard her icy cold chuckle, he turned apprehensive. Just at this moment, a resounding slap was heard from behind. You can also listen on. Tsang Pijun turned back abruptly and his forehead creased. He saw Tsang Piyu, who was standing at the corner silently earlier, suddenly turning around and giving a slap to Tsang Ningyu. You actually slapped me. Tsang Ningyu was dazed by the slap as she covered her face and only cried out in shock a moment later. Mu Qingning had betrothed her to Tsang Piyu 20 years ago, so Tsang Piyu was considered her fiancé. But Tsang Piyu had always been Mr. Goody-Goody, and in the entire Sky Emperor City, he had always been known for not showing any emotions. Moreover, he had been very accommodating towards her. No matter what excuses Tsang Ningyu used to muddle through, refusing to get married to him officially, Tsang Piyu had not said a single word about it. Which was why Tsang Ningyu totally disregarded him as her fiancé, and she had never thought that he would make a move towards her. Tsang Piyu, you dare to slap me, you actually dare to slap me. Tsang Ningyu shrieked out as she tried to hit him back. However, Tsang Piyu's ability had far surpassed her, and he easily gripped onto her wrists. Tsang Ningyu, no matter how you made a din usually, I would tolerate you because of the fact that you are the woman whom Sovereign had betrothed to me, but that doesn't mean that I will tolerate anything and everything. You actually dare to come sprout rubbish in front of Grandmaster Huang. Who do you think you are? What is your identity? What qualifications do you have? Why can't I say anything? What I'm saying is the entire truth anyway. Moreover, I indeed don't deserve Sovereign, but does Huang Yueli deserve him? Ever since Sovereign had been together with her, which time had he not caused himself to be riddled with injuries? Later on he still. Unfortunately she is still that innocent and so complacent. Zhang Piyu laughed coldly as he replied, so what about it? That is Sovereign's woman and Sovereign himself is happy to do it. As subordinates, we can only accept it. Do you really think that I don't know what's on your mind? Zhang Ningyue gnashed her teeth and said, what do you mean? Did you really think that you're my fiancé? That you can control me? Let me tell you, in my eyes, you're a nobody. Zhang Piyu's expression turned twisted for an instant, but very quickly he managed to control himself. He said in an icy cold voice, do you think that I'm willing to marry a wanton woman like you? Rest assured, I will report to Sovereign sooner or later to separate from you. But let me warn you, don't ever go provoke Grandmaster Huang again. If you cause us to be implicated with you, I will absolutely not let you off. Zhang Pijun frowned as well. That's right, keep yourself under control. The entire Blue Profound sect is riddled with internal trouble and outside aggression and is already messy enough. Sovereign had just returned and his ability has yet to reach the peak, so he is originally too tired to handle these all, so don't you come add trouble to him. Really don't know how the word death is written. After Zhang Ningyu was berated by the both of them in rounds, she didn't dare to say a single word more and could only bite on her lips in fury as she lowered her head. At a place when the both could not see, her eyes flashed past a vicious cold glint. That woman, on what basis did she have to drag down Sovereign? She didn't have the qualification. At the back of Levitation Sword Palace was a vast sea of cinnabar geraniums. Before nightfall, the setting sun's rays shone onto those half-luminous petals, and as the gentle breeze grazed past, the petals moved irregularly, reflecting brilliant radiance lights. Li Moying sat in the pavilion as he watched the bed of flowers from afar, his lips uncontrollably curling upwards. This bed of cinnabar geraniums was something which Huang Yueli especially liked that year, and he had tried ways and means to plant them. Cinnabar geraniums were a rare 7th-level upper-grade ingredient, and in the wild, it was a rare sight to be able to spot even one stalk. You can also listen on. That year, he had expended quite an amount of effort to plant this bed of flowers in an attempt to please Huang Yueli. Later on, under Liu Baiyan's aid, he tried ways and means and finally succeeded in planting it. Later on, Blue Profound sect had reaped enormous profit from selling the cinnabar geranium fruits. After so many years, this bed of flowers was still retained so perfectly, which was out of Li Moying's expectations. Thinking of Huang Yueli's excited expression when she saw this scenery later, he waited in anticipation. This is the first night after their return to Blue Profound sect. Li Moying. A young lady's crisp shouting voice was heard from behind his back. Li Moying turned his head over as the smile on his lips deepened even further. Lear, you're finally here. What did you talk to Jiyun and the others? Why did you take so long? By the time he saw Huang Yueli's expression, he was dazed. What's the matter? Who offended you? Huang Yueli's willowy brows were upright as she shot towards him and grabbed hold of his shirt on his chest. Who else could it be? It's you who have offended me. Me? Li Moying was dazed. How could it be? Huang Yueli impolitely interrupted him. You what you? I ask you, what matter are you hiding from me? Why is it that you have been acting suspiciously for the entire period of time? Li Moying's expression sunk. Could it be that Lear found out about something? Surely not, right? He had obviously just instructed those who knew about this to not let this matter go to her ears. His expression appeared to be extremely innocent. I'm innocent, Lear. How would I dare to hide anything from you? Who in the entire soaring heavens continent doesn't know that I'm a slave to my wife and I've always been suppressed by my fiancé, the kind who totally don't even dare to stand up straight? He was shouting for innocence and at the same time stretched out his arm to hug Huang Yueli's waist, intending to repeat the same trick, to use his handsome male trick to shift his fiancé's attention, then later smuggle through this stage. However, Huang Yueli totally didn't fall for it this time round. Not only was she not smitten this time round like in the past, instead she pushed him away hard. Stop pretending. Since you said it so beautifully and have hidden nothing from me, then let me ask you a few questions. You must answer me honestly. If I find out that you're lying to me, she lowered her voice and her expression sunk. Li Moying quivered. For an overbearing man like him, fearing nothing at all, yet in front of his beloved woman's cold face, his heart was shaking with fear and trepidation. All right, then go ahead and ask. Huang Yueli started off. First question, in our past lives after I self-exploded, by right my soul and spirit should have dispersed and I will never be able to enter the reincarnation wheel. Why did I successfully reincarnate and reborn? How is this achieved? Li Moying's gaze became profound as he knew that what Huang Yueli was going to ask would definitely be these questions. It was strange. Earlier when she set off to look for Luo Jiyun and the others, her mood was apparently quite good, but why did she suddenly think about all these matters now? Could it be that someone had defied his orders and spoke about something in front of her? He had just returned and someone actually dared to pay lip service to him, so he absolutely could not tolerate this. Huang Yueli stared at him intently as she observed his unfathomable expression on his good-looking face in detail. How is it? Very difficult to answer. All right, here's the next question. After I self-exploded, what did you do? Why did you 9th stage realm peak practitioner like you, who should originally have thousands of years of life expectancy, suddenly reborn? You can also listen on this. Lear, why do you? Li Moying was racking his brains on how to reply. However, Huang Yueli didn't wait for him to finish talking as she broke him off once again. Actually you don't need to tell me, and I also know the answer. Since you're reborn, that obviously means you're dead. Continuing from here, there's the third question, how on earth did you die? Who is able to kill the invincible sovereign Mu? Or could it be that you committed suicide? Fourth question, how could you get in touch with Blue Profound Sect so simply? What agreement did you set with the 4 great guardians? Why do they trust you? This must have something to do with what you did before you died in your past life. What is it exactly? Huang Yueli threw out a long chain of questions and her interrogative tone turned more and more flustered. These questions were something which instinctively popped up in her mind ever since Li Moying regained a portion of his memories, and she had been extremely puzzled over it. But every single time this thread of thought popped up in her mind, Li Moying would try ways and means, using mostly his charismatic charm, to divert her attention, obviously not intending to tell her about it. Moreover, she felt that the two of them being able to reunite and even falling in love with each other with interconnecting minds was the luckiest thing that had happened. Some things weren't that urgent to pursue after the truth endlessly, as she would finally find out the truth one fine day. Hence when Li Moying didn't want to say, she just let it slide. But this time round, Zhang Ningyu's words were like a bucket of cold water pouring onto her. Some fine details which had been skipped and those suspicious pointers which she had never thought about before, upon delving into it deeply, made her heart felt shocked as she thought more and more on this. That's right, how would there possibly be such a coincidence in this world? She was coincidentally reborn after her soul and spirit dispersed, and Mu Qingying coincidentally also was reborn after an accident, and the two of them were coincidentally born in the same country and even engaged. How would there be so many coincidences under this heavens? If every matter were so coincidental, that would only meant that it was being prearranged. But Huang Yueli still didn't get how this man actually managed to do it. Li Moying looked at the young lady in front of him with great sentiments, and that sweet tempting little face was rightly wound as her usually clear bright eyes were filled with worry and heartache for him. He couldn't help but give a light sigh. "Lear, don't worry." He wanted to hug his fiancée, but Huang Yueli immediately took a step backwards. "How do you expect me not to worry? Quickly tell me clearly." She put on a straight face as her eyes lifted to look at him, obviously meaning that this time round, she would absolutely not give in easily. Li Moying said, "Lear, you cannot be like this." However, Huang Yueli was not moved at all. Li Moying's heart turned melancholic, and at the same time he was certain that Huang Yueli would absolutely not start a fight with him for no reason. Someone had definitely said something to her behind his back. No matter who it was, causing him to end up in this state where he was unable to explain himself, he would absolutely not allow that person to end up well. But luckily, though Huang Yueli's questions were extremely tricky and very difficult to answer, but he had already thought of a plan to deal with this and even prepared a set of model answers. He had just not expected to use it so quickly. As Li Moying was pondering over this, he headed up once again as he held Huang Yueli's shoulders. "Lear, don't be too agitated. I've never said that I don't wish to tell you the truth, right? You can also listen on." This time, Huang Yueli still wanted to evade his touches, but Li Moying didn't allow her to push him aside as what she wished, but instead pulled her emphatically into his arms, with a posture which didn't allow her to reject him. Li Moying's cultivation was right there, and if he really wanted to force himself onto her, there was nothing that Huang Yueli could do about it. But she remained restless in Li Moying's arms as she wriggled around. Li Moying held on tightly as he said, "Actually, it's not that I really don't want to say, but there are many things that I really can't totally recall." Huang Yueli's action took a pause. "Can't remember?" Li Moying nodded his head and continued, "That's right, have you forgotten? When we first met, all the matters that had happened in my past life, I totally couldn't recall it at all. Later on, as my interaction with you deepened and with my cultivation increasing continuously, it was when I started to slowly recall what happened then, but this is a very long process and my memories didn't come back to me all in one day, but slowly accumulated during each full moon's night. So the memories in my mind still remain very confused till today. Especially the things which happened after you self-exploded, the amount that I can recall is even lesser, so it's not that I'm not willing to tell you, but those questions that you asked, many of which are something which I'm puzzled as well, but no matter how I tried, I just can't recall them all." As Li Moying was saying these, he kept a watchful eye while observing Huang Yueli's expression. Seeing his little fiancée frowning slightly with a pensive look, and he hurriedly added more. "But every time I regain my memories, it was always during full moon's night when my illness acted up. The longer the acting up timing, the more things I will recall. Since we're already back in Blue Profound Sect, then in future when my illness acts up, you can wait a little longer before you save me, so test if I can remember something faster, not aloud." Before Li Moying could even finish what he was saying, Huang Yueli jumped right up and shouted out strictly. Huang Yueli was so exasperated, which made Li Moying jump with shock. Huang Yueli stretched out his hand to pinch his face as she retorted angrily, "Have you forgotten that whenever your illness acts up, each and every single time it is so dangerous? There are many times whenever it acts up and drags on for a slightly longer time and you've almost lost your life. Do you really want to scare me to death? No way, what silly ideas are those? Anyway, when your illness acts up, you must tell me immediately and treat it immediately, not even sparing any time to waste." "But, my memories," Li Moying looked like a little wife who had suffered domestic violence as his tone sounded weak and timid. Huang Yueli stared at him ferociously. "I don't believe that you can't remember a single bit of it. Moreover speaking, if you really can't recall, there must be other ways to regain your memories. You're not allowed to take this risk, do you hear me? But I also want to know what happened that year." Huang Yueli gritted her teeth as she hissed, "Anyway, you're just not allowed to. Then I'll think of other ideas, don't squabble with me alright? Li Moying's eyes flashed past a crafty glint as he intended to work it up and dupe Huang Yueli over this issue. Whoever knew, Huang Yueli stared at him for a moment and the frustrated expression on her face suddenly became peaceful. No way, this matter is just too important, we can't just let it pass like this. I don't believe that you really can't recall anything at all. You can also listen on. Li Moying thought that he had successfully muddled through this, so he had not expected Huang Yueli to suddenly pop this sentence out. His face instantly turned pale, apparently cutting a sorry state. Having an extremely intelligent fiancé was usually something which made one feel proud, but when it came to the time when one was doing something bad, if a woman was too intelligent, the man would get into trouble, for example like what he was going through right now. When he really wanted to tell a lie, he was resolutely exposed right there and then. However, Li Moying still refused to admit and persisted in his explanation. Lear, you're really framing me. Don't you believe me at all? Since when have I lied to you? His expression of looking wronged did not make Huang Yueli's heart soften. Huang Yueli raised her chin up slightly as she immodestly exposed him. You've lied to me so many times. Every time you're injured or encountered some danger, since when have you not lied to me? Did you really thought that I'm so retarded? Li Moying's face was filled with sweat. Why was this little fox so difficult to lie to? This time round, what was he supposed to do? This matter, he indeed didn't want Huang Yueli to find out. After all, there was no use even if she found out. It would only make her feel upset over nothing. While Li Moying was still racking his brains, Huang Yueli gave a chilly smile. Why? Why aren't you saying a single word? Thinking of how to lie to me later? Have you planned your story already? Li Moying's sweat on his forehead was about to drip down. Lear was really the woman who knew him the best. Whatever he was thinking, it totally could not escape her eyes. Meeting Huang Yueli's eyes, which were raging with fury, Li Moying totally couldn't think of a way out, so he could only start to act shamelessly. Anyway, I just forgot about it. I really can't remember at all. Even if you beat me to death, I also can't remember, so what else do you want me to do? I can't do anything if you don't believe in me. These words were similar to the kind of explanation that a two-timer would use when he had been caught while having an affair. But when it came out of Li Moying's mouth, it made Huang Yueli not believe him as her eyes turned wide. Moreover, in order to intensify the effect of what he just said, Li Moying directly crossed his arms as he shifted his sight, putting on an uncooperative look. Alright, stop being unreasonable. No matter how you argue, it's no use. Up to you to believe or not. Huang Yueli almost threw up blood from anger. She had not expected Li Moying to use such a lowly trick. Where was the continent's #1 top expert, cold and merciless, overbearing and resolute? What was the difference between this behavior and those small young boys who laid on the ground throwing a tantrum to ask for sweets? He actually threw the target back at her and said she was being unreasonable. Huang Yueli gave him a ferocious stare. Alright, you're really difficult to deal with. Don't you dare to regret using this kind of attitude on me. The matter that happened that year, I'm sure you're not the only one who knows about it. If I want to know, I will definitely be able to find it out. I want to see how you are going to keep it from me for my entire lifetime. Huang Yueli finished up and turned around, walking away angrily. Li Moying watched her departing figure and his expression slowly sunk down. Who was it who tried to expose the secret which he had tried ways and means to hide it? Could it be that trying to keep it from Huang Yueli was really impossible? Now, Lear had already said this, so what should he do so that she could stop pursuing this topic? The night breeze grazed past that sea of vermilion cinnabar flowers, causing undulated billowing. Li Moying looked at the beautiful scenery in front of him, but he had no heart to admire it as his brows were tightly knitted together. You can also listen on. Ever since Huang Yueli and Li Moying quarreled that day, the both of them entered into a cold war. Or perhaps it could be put in this way, it was Huang Yueli who started this cold war on her own. Li Moying knew that he was in the wrong and had been finding ways and means to please his little fiancée. Not only did he inquire solicitously about her well-being, delivering food and drinks over, he also adapted to her interests and tidied up the armament furnace and armament refining room which she had used that year, as well as sending various high-leveled herbs, as though it was free, to her. However, Huang Yueli totally ignored him, and every single time she saw him, it was always neither hot nor cold. Although it wasn't to the extent of totally ignoring him, but that chilly cold gaze always made Li Moying's back turn chilly. But no matter how many times she rolled her eyes at him, he continued to persevere, as his daily task was to please his little fiancée. This scene made everyone in Levitation Sword Palace extremely surprised. 16 years ago, towards Grandmaster Huang, Sovereign saw, listened and obeyed to everything she said, using ways and means to please her. But he was after all the #1 top exponent, and his character was domineering and overbearing, so even if he was chasing after his beloved woman, he would not lower himself that badly. Whoever knew that the minute the both of them had reincarnated, their way of interaction had changed to this? Many attendants thought they were dreaming. Was this really their invincible and unexcelled sovereign? The 4 great guardians were actually very clear on what happened. In actual fact, after the fight between Huang Yueli and Li Moying had happened, he immediately sent for them. Originally, Blue Profound Sect had been without a leader for the past 16 years, so even if it were subordinates who were loyal towards Li Moying, they would inevitably slack, as they no longer revered and feared Li Moying's commands in the same way as that year. But after that day, everyone realized that even though he had changed his shell, he was still that powerful unexcelled #1 top expert, who still left everyone revere him totally, not daring to have any bit of resistance. Those things which Zhang Ningyu had said behind his back were found out very quickly. Li Moying was mad with fury and almost struck her to death on the spot. Later it was Zhang Piyu who stood out to plead for mercy, and Li Moying was worried that if Zhang Ningyu suddenly died, it would cause Huang Yueli suspicion, hence he forcibly spared her life. But Zhang Ningyu was stripped of the guardian position and even sent to the punishment hole. Even Zhang Pejun didn't know what Zhang Ningyu had experienced there, only knowing that after her return, she had completely restrained herself, not daring to say a single word more. Usually she would just shrink herself and hide in one corner, totally not having the past haughtiness that she had. All these were secretly done with Li Moying hiding it from Huang Yueli. But although Huang Yueli didn't witness it with her own eyes, she still knew what was going on, and at the same time, she grew even more indignant. This man, creating so many matters out, wasn't trying to hide it, making it more conspicuous. Did he really treat her as an idiot? She must definitely investigate clearly on what had happened. Alas, with Zhang Ningyu as a precedence, the other 3 guardians were even more tight-lipped, and as they were afraid that they would unintentionally be wormed out facts by her, when they met her, they didn't even dare to let out a single fart, as they remained silent throughout the entire duration. As for the ordinary attendants in Levitation Sword Palace, Huang Yueli managed to try her piercing sky eye and controlled 2 of them in an attempt to make them tell the truth. However, ordinary attendants' knowledge towards this matter was limited, and no matter how Huang Yueli asked, she only knew that Mu Qingying was devastated that year after her self-explosion and had always been cooping himself up in Levitation Sword Palace. Later on, Zhang Pejun announced that Sovereign was going into long-term closed-door cultivation. You can also listen on. It was till this day, when Zhang Pejun brought back Li Moying to Levitation Sword Palace with great fanfare, did they realize that their sovereign wasn't in closed-door cultivation but had been reborn. Huang Yueli was certain that these two attendants had already told them everything that they knew. But wasn't this version exactly the same as the rumors in the entire Soaring Heavens continent? If what she wanted was to find out about these, would she need to go question them? Looked like Li Moying had maintained absolute secrecy that year. Other than the few trusted aides beside him, practically no one else knew what had happened. To find out the truth, she could only start from himself and his 4 great guardians. This was cumbersome. 10 days had passed and Huang Yueli still hadn't thought of any ideas. Of course she was also not appeased and still remained indifferent towards Li Moying. Finally, even Luo Jiyun sensed the uncommon atmosphere in Levitation Sword Palace as he hurried over to Huang Yueli's side to mediate. "Lil sister-in-law, long time no see, how have you been recently? I'm here to visit you. Stop the crap, did your eldest senior brother send you here?" Luo Jiyun just entered the room and met with Huang Yueli's rolled eyes as he was instantly stuck in his shell. Haha, how is that possible? Of course it's not. I miss Lil sister-in-law, so I'm here to pay you a visit. Luo Jiyun's head was filled with sweat. He had not expected to be exposed the minute he reached this place, almost coming to light. Luckily, before he came over, Li Moying had already analyzed the possible scenarios and the corresponding methods to deal with it, so he was able to react in time and immediately denied it. Huang Yueli evidently didn't believe his words as her brows rose and said, "Fine, since you're not the traitor sent over by Li Moying, then later you're not allowed to mention anything related to him. Otherwise I'll send you off immediately." Another sweat dripped down from Luo Jiyun's forehead. This scenario was something that even his eldest senior brother didn't teach him. If he wasn't able to mention a single word, how was he supposed to mediate? He wondered what begrudging thing had his eldest senior brother done to actually make Lil sister-in-law so angry to this extent. Surely it couldn't be that he was with another woman and was caught by Lil sister-in-law, right? If it really was this, then who on earth should he help? Luo Jiyun immediately replied, won't mention. I promise that I won't mention. Sister-in-law, you've really mistaken me. I'm just here to have a chat with you. You said this before, that no matter what problems we meet in Blue Profound Sect, we can seek your help. Huang Yueli then nodded her head and said, then have a seat. She let someone serve them tea and snacks and asked, how is it, these few days, have you and Moe the rest got used to staying in Blue Profound Sect? Luo Jiyun gave a bitter smile and said, got used to. I'm still alright, but brother Moe and the others aren't in very good condition. Luo Jiyun had obtained the rights to become a direct disciple, and adding on to the fact that he was Li Moying's junior brother in South Sky region, hence he was specially permitted to stay in Levitation Sword Palace. Every single disciple or attendant in Levitation Sword Palace were totally loyal towards Li Moying, hence their attitude towards Luo Jiyun was very good as well. Plus the fact that Luo Jiyun's physique and innate talent were not bad, so he quickly adjusted to Blue Profound Sect's lifestyle. But it wasn't the same for Moe and the others. Even though they were inner disciples, but Blue Profound Sect was Soaring Heavens Continent's #1 sacred land. Even the most ordinary outer disciple had at least 7 grade upper innate talent. You can also listen on. Whereas Moe and the others were at most 6th grade talent. When they were in Celestial Light Sect, they were considered to have top-rated innate talent, but in Blue Profound Sect where the strong roamed around like clouds, that was just too pathetic. These Blue Profound Sect's disciples naturally wouldn't be used to seeing that. Based on their low innate talents yet still able to become inner disciples? And the minute they joined the sect, they were able to learn so many high-leveled cultivation methods. Because of this, many disciples picked against Moe and the others in the open and in the dark, not forgetting mocking and ridicule. The shadow guards knew they couldn't match up, hence they didn't rebuke at all, only working hard and silently cultivating on their own. What was worse was that according to Blue Profound sex regulations, lower-level disciples could issue challenges towards high-level disciples and the latter weren't allowed to reject. The number of challenges they received were endless and as they weren't allowed to reject, but their ability was far worse off than those challenges, so practically every single time they would lose for sure. Not to mention losing a huge amount of fortune and time, they would also get injured frequently. Luo Jiyun told these to Huang Yueli and later on, he hemmed and hawed as he said, "Lil sister-in-law, you see, isn't brother Moe and the others a little too pitiful? Can we get them over to Levitation Sword Palace?" Huang Yueli took a glance at him and shook her head, "No, we can't." Luo Jiyun was a little disappointed, but every time I visit brother Moe and the others, they always end up in a miserable state from the bullying. If this carries on, I'm afraid that not only would they be unable to cultivate and advance, they might even end up getting seriously injured and affect their future cultivation. Actually, it really isn't brother Moe and the others' fault for not working hard, but their innate talent and physique is originally not as good as the others, so no matter how they work hard, it's of no use. Huang Yueli put down the teacup as she stared at Luo Jiyun and said slowly, "Really? Do you really think in this way? Since their innate talent couldn't match up to the others, then no matter how hard they tried, it is useless." Isn't it like this? You and eldest senior brother. Pooey, I didn't mention him. What I mean to say was that, lil sister-in-law, isn't your innate talent outstanding as well, hence your cultivation speed is that fast? Luo Jiyun casually mentioned eldest senior brother 3 words and immediately received 2 large eye rolls from Huang Yueli. In order to stop her from sending him off, he immediately changed his sentence at first instance. Huang Yueli gave a humph and said, "I indeed have outstanding luck, but not every 9th stage realm peerless top exponents relied on innate talent to succeed. There are some whose innate talent were not very good. For example, the leader of the 4 great guardians Tsang Pijun, when he first started off, he only had 4th grade talent." How is that possible? Luo Jiyun's eyes immediately turned wide with total disbelief. Sir Pijun has preeminent strength and so many 9th grade talented practitioners cannot even be compared to him. How could he possibly only have 4th grade talent? Huang Yueli said, "This is very common. Your inborn innate talent is merely the starting point, but that doesn't mean to say how far it would lead you to. Real strong exponents do not rely only on outstanding innate talent. Most importantly, they must have enough perseverance and courage, not giving up any chance at all. Innate talent and physique might be hard to change, but there's still chances to improve it." Really? Innate talent can be raised. Huang Yueli nodded, "That's right, otherwise why would so many people fight head over tails to join the 7 sacred lands? It's just because the 7 sacred lands had enough inheritances and resources, even to improve a practitioner's innate talent and physique. As long as they work hard, they will be able to do anything. You can also listen on." Huang Yueli thought about it for a moment and said, "Help me pass this message to the Shadow Guard brothers that they have a very good opportunity in front of them. Every year-end, Blue Profound Sect would enter into a year-end assessment for outer disciples, and the content is to climb the sect's rear mountain cliff sky ascension stairs." She paused for a moment. "That's right, you have to go as well. Direct disciples must all partake in the assessment." Luo Jiyun went into a blank as he asked curiously, "Sky ascension stairs? What's that?" Huang Yueli's lips curled upwards mysteriously. "There's no point for me to tell you now, you'll find out by then. I can only say that since it's named the Sky Ascension Stairs, that is what the name means. To climb up naturally is as difficult as ascending to the sky." Luo Jiyun anxiously spoke out, "What? Lil sister-in-law, don't scare me." Huang Yueli rolled her eyes at him, "I'm not scaring you. There are many assessments in 7 sacred lands and every one of it is filled with extreme danger which would lead to loss of one's life easily. But the more difficult the assessment, the minute you pass through it, the more rewards you will obtain. Sky Ascension Stairs assessment rewards are something which is worth everyone to take the risk. Luo Jiyun asked, really? What kind of rewards are there? Huang Yueli replied, I heard that the top 20 practitioners in this assessment would obtain a chance to cultivate in the Sword Bath Pool. Sword Bath Pool? What place is that? He asked in a daze. Huang Yueli was speechless, you don't even know about this. 7 sacred lands all have the historical remains left behind from ancient times, which could aid in lifting the practitioners' innate talents and physiques under their wings. Otherwise, why would they keep on producing so many talents under their wings, and how would they have the cheek to be known as the sacred land? Sword Bath Pool is an early historical remains of Blue Profund sect and also one of the best 7 great historical remains with the best effect in raising innate talents. Moreover, those with lower innate talents would get better effects after taking a soak in it. Luo Jiyun's face immediately revealed an overjoyed expression. There's such a good thing around. I must immediately tell Brother Moe and the others. I also want to register and take part in it. Huang Yueli added, there are plenty of chances to enter the Sword Bath Pool in Blue Profound sect, but most chances come from ranking in terms of absolute power, so Moe and the others might not be able to rank up in those events. But the Sky Ascension Stairs assessment are auto-adjusted based on the practitioner's innate talent and is the best opportunity which they have. Pass the message to them. If they aren't able to grasp such a good opportunity, that would mean that they totally don't have the conviction to become a top-rated practitioner. They also need not stay on to be humiliated in Blue Profound sect, they might as well return back to South Sky region earlier. In Celestial Light sect, they could at least muddle along to be an elder or something, why bother to stay here? Huang Yueli made it sound very harsh, but not one sentence were empty words. Those who were able to become 9th stage realm practitioners indeed had 8th grade talent and above, and it was extremely rare and more so based on one's conviction and perseverance to keep on seeking breakthroughs in life and death occasions, lastly surpassing those talented practitioners to reach the peak. Luo Jiyun's cold sweat was trickling down. Yes, I know. I will definitely bring these words to them. And I will also work hard to prepare for the assessment. Huang Yueli then nodded her head satisfactorily as she picked up the teacup once again. Luo Jiyun also took a mouthful of tea as she looked at Huang Yueli's expression and said, that's right, sister-in-law, there's another matter. Do you know that after Li Lingchuan and Murong Fei had been brought over to Blue Profound sect, eldest senior brother, how were they dealt with? You can also listen on. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.